What brings you? Why do you come here? You come for clarification to get closer to the things that you desire, yes? Yes. We come because the co-creation that happens when a group of like-minded people come together, and we're not talking about like-mindedness in terms of all of the details of your life. We're talking about like-mindedness in terms of your alignment with your true mind. We're talking about you being like-minded with who you really are, which means you love yourself rather than hate yourself. You feel your worthiness rather than deny it. Like-minded in the sense that you have come round somehow to be more in any moment that you are conscious and focused, to be more like the source within you bees at that time. And we want to remind you, and for some of you it is just a gentle nudge of reminding, and for some of you it's a that can't possibly be right reminder because you've deviated from it far over time. But the most important thing that we want you to remember or to relearn is that mind that we are talking about, that true you, that inner being that is you, is focused with you all the time, aware of where you are as you drive down the street, aware of what you see as you look across the new snow in the meadow, aware of what you say and how you feel when you are re-engaging with old friends, aware all the time, the source within you, always aware. And it's not some nebulous, from your perspective, perception like God. Oh yeah, God's everywhere all the time. We don't mean it in that way. We mean that specifically the you who is really who you are is right here, focused with you in this conversation. As you sit in this room, listening to what we are saying, that broader perspective of you is sitting here with you, listening to what we are saying. And so that's the like-mindedness that we want you to be aware of. We want you to want, to blend, to merge the awareness of who you are and what you are doing in this moment with that broader mind. You following a bit? Because when you do that, then you're in sync. And in sync means then you are feeling at your best. Then there is not resistance within you that is keeping you from the alignment with who you really are. So, for example, when you are watching something on television, that inner you is watching it too. But that inner you is watching from its perception, from its point of attraction, from who it is. When you are having a conversation with someone new to you, someone old to you, someone that you have issues with, someone you are in love with, it doesn't matter. In every conversation that you have, there is another part of you involved in the conversation and projecting an opinion, a vibrational opinion, a vibrational perspective. The way you feel in any moment is about how like-minded or not like-minded you are with the true mind who is truly who you are. So in the early days, as we were flowing in this way through Esther, we were explaining to you about this blending process of allowing yourself to be more who you really are. And over time, we've talked to you about who you are. We've listened to you talk about what's going on in your life experiences. And gradually, many of you have come to an awareness that you are much more than the you that you see here in this physical body. But still, with all of the conversation that all of us have had for so many years, it's really a rare one of you who is, in any moment in time, consciously trying to be aware of what your true perspective is. The other day, Esther heard a comment from someone she knows talking about another person that she knows. And the comment was not positive. And as Esther heard it, she felt discord within her being at hearing it. And we want you to know that there doesn't have to be anyone else in the room for that discord to occur. Because sometimes, in fact, often, you make comments about someone or about yourself or about a situation that the source within you sees entirely differently. And when you do that, your guidance, not your dominance, not your guardance, not your I'm the boss of you and you need to do what I say or you won't feel good, just this perspective of all that you have evolved to, of the pure love that you really are, is always right there for you to feel the emotional gauge about. So, of course, you have the freedom, the free will, to have any opinion in the world about anything. You get to choose what you focus on, and you get to choose what stance you take about it. But we just want you to remember from this point forward, or to relearn now as we are having these conversations together over these days. We want you to remember that that guidance, that perspective, that awareness, that non-physical opinion, that beingness will never be taken out of your mix. You will never cease to be who you are. Now, that's the nice way of us saying to you, if you want to feel good, you kind of got to line up with who you really are. Because you can think any thoughts that you want about anything that you want, but you're going to feel whether it resonates or whether it doesn't. So, when you listen to a commentary on television about the ill fate of the world and you feel fear, what's that fear mean? Your inner being has a different perspective, and it's pretty far off from the one you just heard on television, and that's why you have such a strong feeling of discord in your body. So this guidance system is there for you all the time to let you know whether you're picking up the track from where you really are and moving forward, or whether you are stalled out in some resistant stance that is preventing you from feeling the fullness of who you are and moving forward. You came into this physical experience with the powerful understanding that you would not be able to stop motion forward. You knew that evolution, expansion, is the eternal nature of all that is. And so you expected it of yourself. You also knew that you have guidance within you so that within that expansion, you could mostly a really mostly joyful time. Not one of you coming in said, well, I will deliberately pinch myself off from everything that I know, and I will learn it the hard way. I will prove my worthiness for all that I am in this one physical lifetime. So many humans say that. This is all you got. You only live once. Are they kidding? You only live once? How about you always live always? You always live always. Which means there's been so much of you living and so much of you coming to know, so much of you evolving, so much of you expanding, so much of you being, you have a really strong, glorious, love-based opinion of you in this life, of you in this universe, of you in this all that is. And that broad part of you said, I would like to project into this physical experience, into this magnificent physical body, a part of my consciousness to explore what is new and to help with the inevitable, eternal expansion. So here you are, mixing it up, coming up with new ideas, having your experience. And we love you so much, most of you not even coming close to the understanding of who you really are. Most of you, most of the time, pinched off from the fullness of who you are in some attitude of justification or rationalization or comparison with other humans around you. And when you make the comparison of other humans around you and you use that as your gauge rather than the like-mindedness of who you really are, when you try to contour to what society wants you to do, or even what your mother wants you to do, or what your peer group wants you to do, as you try to adjust your behavior, your demeanor, your appearance in order to accommodate what you think others want, first of all, it makes you crazy because there are so many of them and they are fickle and they all want something different from you. And if any of you have ever tried to please just two people, you understand how that goes. Just don't get them both in the same room at the same time. Yeah? I can please you now because you're the only one here. And now I can please you because you're the only one here. But don't all come to Thanksgiving at the same time because I will have to sit silent in the corner so as to not expose to you who I am to you and you who I am to you. But as you use as your guidance that source energy within you, and you understand that the better you feel, the more in sync with who you are, now you're off and running. And that's the true trajectory of who you are. And anything less than that doesn't feel good. You describe that not feeling good in lots of different ways with lots of emotional terms. But what it really comes down to is, if you don't feel good, you're not like-minded with who you really are. And therefore, you are the personality, you sitting in this chair, you in this physical body, you speaking the words or you thinking the thought. You are experiencing a diminished experience. Diminished in comparison with what? Diminished in comparison with the experience that the source within you is having in exactly the same moment. The source within you knows your value all the time. And when you don't, source doesn't go along with you. Oh yeah, you're right. You've convinced us. You are worthless. Source doesn't go along with that. And in fact, the proof to you the source didn't go along with it is the negative emotion you feel when you get down on yourself. Source will not side with you in your negative emotion about any other person either. And the proof to you about that is the negative emotion that you feel when you are in that mode of criticism of someone else. You see what we're getting at? So, like-mindedness, alignment with who you really are, being a pure extension, that pure love of self, pure worthiness, pure expectation of lovely things. That's who you really are. Your inner being is so optimistic that it makes you, by comparison, a pessimistic person. Because your inner being knows fully what you are capable of and expects it constantly, never deviates. You can't be pessimistic enough to convince your inner being of such. Your inner being loves you so much. Your inner being loves others so much that when you don't, you feel that. That's what hatred is. That's what jealousy is. That's what those negative emotions are. They are your proof that your inner being, that the source within you, that the true mind that is truly who you are, that eternal you, has a different stance, a different perspective, not about life in general, about life in specifics right here, right now, you see. Because while Source has the ability to take the overview, why take the overview when the specific view is where all the action is, where all the movement is, where all the fun is? In other words, Source is right here on the leading edge with you, excited about the new things that you're excited about and excited about the new things that you're not excited about, feeling happy about everything, whether you are or not. And the or not part, we want to remind you, is because you're not letting yourself discover and hold the perspective that Source holds here and now. You got that, didn't you?